Parents are the best therapists for their children. Do you agree? Well, today in this video, we are going to find out. Welcome back to our channel and thank you once again for joining us in this another day in the life of living on Autistic Edge. I am Terry Ann Alaine, proud autism mom, and we are here to share with you tips and tricks of how we navigate through our journey right here on Autistic Edge. It took me quite some time to come to the reality that I was the best person for this job. Parents often serve as the best therapists for their children, and this is because of the unique position in their children's life. Parents offer a combination of love, understanding, and consistent presence. We're going to give you a few reasons as to why we think parents are the best therapists for their children. Number one, parents have a natural, unconditional love for their children, and this creates a safe and nurturing environment for their kids to express their feelings and their challenges. Parents normally form a bond with these kind of experience, these kinds of challenges, and they know how parents naturally have a bond with their children, and that gives them the advantage for being their therapist. Number two, knowledge of the child. Parents have an intimate knowledge of their children, their personality, their strength, their weaknesses, their past experiences, and parents know better than anyone else. And this allows them to provide that personalized support for their children. So normally when you go to the doctor will not always be able to ask the children, especially if they are nonverbal. And when you look at our situation with Alex Xavier, who is more on the nonverbal side, the doctor can't question him much. He will not be able to give much information. So as the parents, we have that intimate knowledge. We know the ins and outs. We know his rhythms. We know his program. We know just about everything. We would be the person to give the information, negotiate, and talk about the strategies that are needed for any intervention. So the intimate knowledge by the parents make them a stronger therapist for their children. Now, and we're going to develop this conversation, right? So here we talk about number three, presence. Now, unlike professional therapists who may only interact with the child for once a week, and that once a week is peradventure for half an hour, most speech therapy sessions are half an hour. And more or less, I think some persons are going up to 45 minutes. But nonetheless, given the time span, they do not have sufficient time with the child. Therapists are once per week. Parents are daily, nightly, minutely, anyhow you want to call it. Now, this consistency of the presence make it easier for the parents to observe changes in the child behavior. And guess what? The parents are normally the ones to intervene quickly. Now, we would want to say both parents and caregivers, but we want to talk about parents because there is a responsibility for the parents that is very integral that you can't leave to just about anyone. That presence, being there most of the time or all the time, gives us that edge. All right, so when something is happening and the child is throwing a tantrum today, you're not going to call the therapist to help you with that tantrum. As the parents, you're going to have to learn the strategies to manage the tantrum. Even if you discuss the strategies with the professionals, as parents in the home, we are the one carrying out those strategies on a daily basis to make sure that the intervention is appropriate. So the child is having a meltdown, that is going to be on you. Whatever is happening, any change of behavior, that is going to be on you. You won't be able to find the therapist at every minute of the day in order to intervene when things are happening. Number 4, parents carry the role of the primary caregivers. So yes, you may have your caregiver that gives support. You may have your teacher at school, but guess what? The parents are the primary caregivers. Parents are often the first person that their children will run to for help. And this reinforces the trust, and it encourages open communication with the children, right? So that role of being the primary caregiver is an added time that you spend with your child. Number 5, we want to talk about lifelong investment. Parents are naturally investing in their child's well-being and success. Now, this gives the parents the motivation to work tirelessly to help their children to overcome obstacles. When parents are working tirelessly for their special need, they're also paying for it. So you're working and you're paying for it, right? You put all the strategies in place, you have to pay for these strategies that you are putting in place. There's no financial reward for the parents. When, on the other hand, for the therapist, it is actually a work, it's a job. For the therapist, it's their job. So it's the relationship with the therapist is different. It's going to be one of a professional approach, whereas the parents can take a different approach because of the relationship with the child. Therapists most times don't develop a relationship with the child. They are more or less separated. The child comes in, they will deal with the child with whatever they have to do, whatever intervention strategies. Out you go. Next patient, please. Yes. So even if they have somewhat of a relationship, it's more or less minimal. The time spent with the therapist does not give them enough time to know all the intricacies, the behavioral changes with the child, because they only spend 1 hour or less with the child each week. When we talk about support, number 6, this is important. Now, parents, pay attention. Parents can adopt unconventional approach or strategies to fit their child's unique need, and that making their guidance more relevant and effective. Unlike the therapist, their approach is more prescriptive, and they use more researched and proven methods, and they are also guided by regulatory framework. So that gives them some limitations in terms of what they can do or what they will do or what they are willing to do. Just to add that every child is different, and a prescriptive approach that works for one child may not work for the next child. So we are always reminded that why we refer to it as autism spectrum is because each child is unique, their situations are different. What triggers one child versus the other, most times they are different. And a prescriptive approach does not necessarily work. One size just does not fit all when it comes to these children. With that in mind, though, don't run away from this presentation believing that as a parent, I'm going to run off doing therapist on my own and I'm just going to eliminate the speech therapist. No, that's not what we are talking about. While parents play a significant role in their child's emotional health, professional therapists are still important and very important when it comes to complex issues that may arise. And they bring about an expertise and objectivity that parents may not have. You will also have to understand that parents, we're going to love our children with our heart and soul. The parents, for the therapist, it's a job. So they won't get attached. They won't get emotionally attached. So parents, when we are emotionally attached, not all times we'll see the objectivity. So we are going to need the professionals to guide us along. And more and most importantly, let me say that if you are living in an area where resources are limited for your child. And when it comes to speech therapy, it seems as if it's an all around issue now, where most persons are just being on long waiting lists, because we have more and more children that are now being diagnosed at earlier stages too, with speech delay or autism or you name it. That makes access to the resources that are needed very, very difficult. And that is one of the reasons why parents, we are going to have to step up our game to be involved in the life of our children when it comes to some of our therapies. We talk about the unconventional method. One of our unconventional method in getting Alex to speak was one Sunday morning under the sheet, and we were just there playing a little game of tickle and you name it, and he had just be coming out of a meltdown. And I was there going on with my little antics and doing the da and all of these stuff. And I spoke about that in one of our videos here. And let me tell you something. That Sunday morning was the first morning when Alex gave us that word, daddy, because that was his first formative words, daddy. No, a therapist never go be under one sheet with your child or try to get your child to say daddy. As a matter of fact, you would have concern with that. Right? So that's why we talk about the unconventional method. Things that we can do and we can play, and it might be just at that family game when you're having that fun moment with your child that you're gonna get some things being springing out at you. So the broader picture, parents, we need to wake up. We need to be more involved. We need to have more of these sessions with our children. When you go to your therapist, make sure that you're getting assignments and strategies from your therapist to work with at home, and make sure you are working on them with your child, because parents and therapists working together, they yield the best outcome. With that, we say thank you so much for joining us in this another day in the life of living on Autistic Edge. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and make sure you subscribe, so the next time we put out another content, you will be notified.